Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. How was your trip to Florida?
It was nice. It was nice. It rained a couple of days, but that's all right. Sometimes those are good too, right?
Yeah.
You just sit and relax a little
Well, I'm
bit.
sure it's not as bad as the rain here, because the rains here seems to get cold and humid, which is
Yes.
in the middle.
Yes, and lots of it.
Absolutely. So, wanted to come in today. I know you and I had spoke before about just kind of going over what we've done for you up to this point, what we're going to be doing, and then what we can do towards the future. So let's go ahead and just take a look at today's agenda. So, when I first talked to you, you were having issues. Main issue was pricing with FedEx and the billing. So we'll dive down into that a little bit about what our response was. Right now, it seems like we're having some computer problems, and I'll tell you what we can offer in regards to ultimately fixing that issue for you.
Okay.
And then I know that you had some damages, and we'll get to that. You originally said that you never had damages, which I kind of tried to tell you about this previously, but you know it wasn't really relevant at the time. So I think now it's a little bit more relevant, so we'll get to that again.
Okay.
Is there any questions that you have about the agenda?
No.
No. Okay. So when I first spoke to you, you were having FedEx pricing issues. Your biggest complaint to me was that FedEx costs kept increasing without any type of explanation from your rep, from the billing department, kept getting bounced around a bit. Additional charges were never explained. So as additional charges would show up, you were told, oh, you have discounts on them. Sometimes they apply, sometimes they wouldn't. And that caused a lot of issues for you. Now, what did that confusion do for you in regards to your relationship with your rep and with your company at that time when you just don't know what you're getting charged?
Well, I mean, it's a trust issue. I mean, I didn't really trust that those charges were even appropriate. And I guess if they were appropriate, it seems reasonable somebody would explain them to me before I go in. You know, once I start getting hit with those, if I haven't passed those on to my customer, I'm eating all those charges.
Right.
And I can't afford that. My margins are slim enough that just won't be.
So it sounds like it hurt the credibility with your previous representative and then also caused some confusion on your end because you're paying for something that you don't really know about, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then it looked like the bills kept getting more and more confusing to read, and you had no one to turn to for explanation in regards to what was going on. How did that make you feel when you had nobody that could give you any explanation? You were kind of being bounced around.
Well, I mean, the opposite of the way you made me feel when you came in, because you just started explaining everything and digging in, and you seemed very helpful. So, I mean, I guess I was just lost. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't like seeing my clients lost. That was actually one of the words you said right at the beginning when we first started meeting, was you were lost with what was going on. So
of course, I knew that. I remembered that conversation we had.
Exactly. So I'm glad you and I, when we came together, we were on the same page in regards to kind of trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel. This is what I saw when I came into your office. You had stacks of bills, your help, what's going on with these. So what we went ahead and did is, here was our response. I went ahead and gave you some competitive pricing. Now, the screen's a little bit smaller right there. But ultimately, not only was the pricing competitive, okay, I gave you an explanation on every single additional charge that you could possibly be hit with because you ship rugs, right? So those are gonna definitely fluctuate in size. When I explained that to you, how did that make you feel in regards to just knowing what you're gonna get charged?
Well, I mean, it was more clear. I mean, I don't like spending the money.
Sure.
So, I mean, just because you're explaining the charge, I mean, it's still there.
Yeah.
If there was a way to, especially that additional handling, if we could just make that go away entirely, that would be a really cool thing, because then I wouldn't have to worry about it. But
Understood.
But yeah, I mean, it's better to understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, understanding equals at least less confusion, right? So, what we ended up doing is, after I came and explained the additional charges, you're also having problems with accessing your bill, right? So we got you enrolled in Billing Center, and I gave me, as a one point of contact, because that seemed to be a big issue before you're getting bounced around between different departments, different people. I told you I'm going to be that guy that's going to kind of quarterback everything for you and handle it.
Right.
How did that make you feel that you knew you at least had somebody you could lean on in case anything ever did happen?
Well, I mean, I like to know that I can bring anything to you.
Sure.
I mean, pretty much across the board. Any problem I have, no matter how small, no matter how big, I can bring it to you, and you're going to act on it immediately.
And you know, based on our conversation, on our interactions up to this point, that's what it's been. small or big, you send me an email, and if I can't do it, I've at least got you in contact with the appropriate resource. So I'm glad that that's at least easing some of the pain that was there for you. All right. Now, as you were speaking about the additional charges, we actually discounted your additional charges on accessorials and those extra things you're going to have, large package surcharge, so on and so forth, by an average of 30% across the board. So even though it didn't eliminate the fees completely, I know that you were happy with the fact that we were at least, one, going to give you that discount and keep it there versus what FedEx was doing, which was they said they gave you a discount and then 6 months later took it away as they hit peak.
Right.
Okay, and when they took that away from you, how did that impact your business when you're expecting to get a certain amount off of your additional charges and then all of a sudden now, here's these discounts that aren't there?
Well, there's no time to adjust, so I can't change my pricing, I can't cover that. So really what it is just taking the money out of my pocket.
Right, which ultimately I want to put back in your pocket. So speaking on that, we're saving you an average of $366 per package, okay? And you're sending out a little bit over 1,800 packages a year. So in total transportation annual savings alone, we're looking at least 65. Let's just call that $6,600. It's $6,588 there at the bottom in the overview. So what we were able to accomplish by coming in and actually providing you with competitive pricing, it wasn't just the cost that you were looking at. You were looking for the explanation. So we gave you the savings, we gave you the explanation, we discounted that, gave you easy access to your bills that is more detailed in regards to what you're being charged for, and in turn, that saves you time, and it's going to save you about $6,600 a year.
Now, this is the same analysis you guys showed me when you came in and presented, right?
Correct, yes.
So I'm curious, I mean, what about the after? Have you analyzed? I mean, am I actually saving $3.66?
Yes, actually you are. And actually on some packages, because of the amount that we discounted, and that's just transportation charge. But when we look at the accessorials, when we go back and actually take a look at those on the 30%, for instance, you had a package where you were charged $90 alone just on an additional handling for large pack with FedEx. With us, on the discount that we gave you, just on that one package, it was $40. So there's a savings on at least one of 50. So if you look at that in overall broad spectrum, you guys have shipped probably 4 to 5 of those a week in that size. So 4 times 50, you're looking at least $200 a week in savings just on that one accessorial charge, not even the transportation.
Right.
Do you think that that helps you guys in regards to not only just the savings aspect, but understanding that I've kept my word and given you a discount on it, and you're actually seeing it versus it not being there? Do you think that's helping you guys?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Is there any other questions that you have in regards to this slide specifically?
No, I mean, I just obviously, money's important, and this was a big part of the decision I made. I mean, I like but, the fact I was putting money in my pocket was really helpful. And I just like to make sure that you guys continue to look at that moving forward, and that, whether it be growth or any other circumstances that may occur, I'd like to know you're open to, adjusting those rates.
Yeah, and you and I had spoke, we understand that you have a specific kind of peak time, right? So it's kind of from May until October when the most of your shipments happen, and I told you that coming towards the end of that time, I have no problem kind of going back over this, but in the larger spectrum, just because we've only been shipping and working together for about a month and a half now.
Right.
So I know you're just starting to ramp up. So once we get kind of towards the end of your slowdown season, we'll definitely come back together, retake a look at things and see what we can do.
Okay.
Going forward. All right, now, next thing I want to talk to you about, your computer. It was out of date. It was a 2010 Microsoft, which is fine. We understand, not all of our clients are going to go out and buy brand new computers.
Right.
So, but that caused some issues. It was running slow, and then we downloaded WorldShip, but it wasn't able to pull over all of your orders because there was something on the back end that was having some issues. We brought Tim in from TSG, if you remember. He came in and he had to re-download it, undownload it, re-download. And we ultimately just found out it just wasn't going to work because WorldShip wasn't even communicating with your printer, which is a problem, right? Because we can't get any packages out or any labels printed.
Right. This is all the computer's fault, right?
Right. It's all the computer's fault. But what did that do for you guys is it caused 20 shipments to be delayed. The day I was in there were 20 shipments that were delayed because we couldn't get anything processed at that time. Right. The computer just wasn't acting right. We couldn't even get your internet to work at one point in time.
Right.
those delays ended up costing you about $1,000 in reimbursements. Because I remember you told me you had not only reimbursed for some of the product costs, but the delay. What did that losing that $1,000 and having to reimburse it? How do you think that affected your rapport with your clients?
Well, I mean, they've been clients for a while, so I'm not sure it like devastated anything, but yeah, I don't like upsetting customers.
Sure.
It's definitely an issue I want to address.
And with one of our biggest points of being putting revenue back in your pocket, did you, and I know this is kind of a yes or no, but did you like handing out $1,000 back to your clients?
No.
Okay. And then we ultimately had to get a rush shipped because the next day they were already behind schedule, right?
Right.
So in this instance, where we're going to be actually bringing in a new computer, which we'll get to next, I want to make sure that with the shipments that were delayed, that we never run into this again. So an overview from what happened in this particular situation was your communication wasn't computing right with your computer. Packages were delayed. Customers were delayed in receiving their product, which I know you give a specific time that, hey, we're going to get it out by this time. You have a cutoff at 3 every day. It gets out if it's same day order. It gets out within that time period. How did that affect your company to have to go back and tell your clients, you know what, we couldn't make this cutoff time, but we're going to have to push it out? Did you get any pushback?
Honestly, there was nothing specific. I mean, they weren't happy about it.
Sure.
But like I said, I have relationships with my customers. I mean, I guess as I had stated earlier, I do understand it's an area and I would like to address it.
Absolutely. So ultimately, you lost $1,000 in revenue during that time. How can we help that right now? Well, we have the customer technology solution. Now, as Tim or customer technology program, or CTP.
Yeah.
As Tim kind of alluded to as you and I were in the meeting with him, we're going to get you a new computer. Okay, we're going to subsidize funds for you to allocate out to go and get new technology. Now, once that is done, WorldShip will be installed correctly.
Could you go back to what you said before?
Absolutely.
You're going to subsidize. Tell me that again.
Yes.
That sounded like a legal contract or something.
No, absolutely. Thank you for asking. So, what we're going to end up doing is we give you a contract. It's a 3-year contract. Okay? And it states we're going to allocate X amount of funds. Let's just say it's $700. Okay. We give you that $700, and the way you pay us back is by shipping through your volume and revenue with us over those 3 years. There will be an amount that you'll hit that I will go over with you, so you can take a look at it prior to signing anything.
Right.
And then we give you those funds to go ahead and purchase any type of technology solutions through preferred vendors of ours to ensure that a WorldShip issue or communication issue doesn't happen, so we can get you a new computer. Do you have any questions in regards to what that entails?
Well, I mean, it's a much clearer explanation, so thank you for that. And I gotta tell you, I mean, I like you. You're friendly, you've helped me, you've brought in stuff. But 3 years, dude? I mean, I'm not signing something for 3 years. Why would I do that? Why don't you just give me the $700 and move on?
That's a good question. So let me ask you this then. You were with FedEx for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? Using the same computer. Having kind of some similar issues and billing issues. Did FedEx ever come in and offer anything like this to keep you as a client or to ultimately partner with you moving forward?
No, I can't say they did.
Okay. That's something that I'm doing. And your want to come over to UPS wasn't just based on the pricing and our relationship. It was based on the things that I told you I could bring to the table. One being the pricing was right off the bat. The customer technology program is the next thing that's kind of on deck, right? So that's something that I pride myself on, is making sure I partner with you, seeing what your goals are, which is to appease your client, right? Because you have good relationship with them, but you want to keep it at a high level. And then ultimately make sure that Donna, who's your shipping manager, has ultimately a streamlined process to where she's not running back and forth between computers to try to process shipments. So that's why we wanted to bring something new in, so that Donna in your life is a little bit easier when it comes to processing those shipments. Now, just giving you the $700, if you're asking me for my partnership, I'm asking you for your partnership, and to give me at least amount of time where you're going to definitely ship with UPS because we're going to come in and make sure that we're streamlining your processes, which you already alluded to FedEx is not doing or would not do, correct?
All right, well, how about a year?
The contract only goes for 36 months, and that's the only kind of leeway that I have in regards to writing that contract.
How about $2,000 instead of $700?
So dependent on the amount that we're able to put into the contract itself, that'll kind of tell me what we can subsidize to you. Now, just letting you know, depending on the amount we give you, however much you spend is actually what we're gonna kind of track you on. So let's say we gave you $2,000. You don't spend that $2,000. It doesn't mean that you owe us $2,000 back. Let's say you only spend $700 out of that. We're only going to track you based on that $700, and then whatever volume and revenue, mainly the revenue over 3 years you give us, as long as you're to plan, and I'll show you what that plan is. You will basically get the computer for free, and all you have to do is be loyal to us the same way that I'm telling you I'll be loyal to you.
So let me just clarify, how much money am I getting?
That is dependent. I haven't written it yet. I'm in the process of writing it, but I wanted to let you know I know at least from the first process that I ran through, just as a trial run to make sure I could get something for you, it was at least a minimum of $700. So I know that I can get that for you.
Is $700 gonna buy me a computer?
It should. It'll buy you a new standalone because you don't need a new monitor. You just need an actual stand station.
All right. Well, I guess we can move on. When you have more details and you know exactly how much you have available to me, then let's talk about that further.
Okay. Excellent. I think what this will end up doing though with the new computer, it'll help definitely make sure that your shipments are being processed, there's no delays, put money back in your pocket.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's what we were kind of alluded to when I first came and talked to you. I told you I've had clients in the past. I told you I used to cover San Francisco, okay? And I specifically had Chinatown, which has a lot of rug companies, okay? I had a client that was with FedEx previously that I ended up winning over. Now, when I got with him, I told him the same thing I told you. I said, look, shipping is a risk. It's gonna happen. It's a risk of doing business. Right? 3 out of 4 clients every year are actually report that they've had some sort of large loss throughout that year. My job is to come in and try to mitigate that risk. At the time when I spoke to you, you said, nope, we package perfectly. We never have damages, right? Well, it had a damage, cost $500. The package actually ended up taking the damage and we blamed it on you guys based on how it was packed, which we've already fixed that situation in regards to how to pack that specific item. But how did losing that $500 affect your company?
Well, first of all, it affected us by $500. So I lost $500. But I mean, it's still an issue when a customer doesn't receive something. And especially, I mean, it's one thing to have it delayed,
right?
But when it just doesn't show up, the truth is they don't always even believe that we shipped it. So there's a perception issue there that affects us.
Do you think that damages your relationship with your clients when they're kind of in the unknown of did he ship it or did he not?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's incremental because, you know, if it happens once, everybody kind of understands that. It's if it happens a bunch over time, that's something that can't be tolerated. I mean, you guys know that, right?
No, absolutely. Definitely did. So, claim took longer than you expected to get processed. It ended up going against you. So ultimately what you had to do is you had double shipping costs, right? Because you shipped it out the original time and you ship it out a second time. And I know that you reimbursed the client. Well, here's where I believe we can step in. UPS Capital. We have a few different coverages that we can offer out. And I have a partner by the name of Dorothy. And I'm not even going to take a shot at the last name because I know I'll butcher it, so I apologize. But
I have a cousin with that last name that's Caesar.
Caesar. Thank you for that. It's good to know. So what we'll do is I'm going to bring Dorothy. She's another resource of mine. So now you're meeting multiple resources. You got Tim, who's helping you with technology. You got me, that's kind of the point 2 guy. And then I'm going to bring Dorothy in to kind of explain what this coverage option does. This is going to help mitigate your risk. Put that $500 back in your pocket. Now, damages, lost packages, things like that, it's going to happen. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure there's a $5 coverage right now for declared value that you're already putting on there. But your items are $500 plus. So why don't we get the retail value covered so that we can put that money back in your pocket in case anything is to happen to not affect your cash flow negatively. So ultimately what we would do in this instance is we would lower the declared value amount from $1.05, okay? Cover the whole, basically your whole infrastructure. So it would be your drop ship shipments that you do. It would also be the shipments that come directly out of your warehouse, okay? And then ultimately we're gonna give you that full retail value back if there is a claim. It's paid out usually 95% within 5 days, and the shipping cost. So even though we don't like damages, even though we don't like claims, and we don't like missing packages, especially I know you don't, what do you think it'll do how do you think it'll affect your company? If we can get the money back in your pocket faster, and then you can still appease your client by still getting them their rug that they still want without affecting your cash flow.
Well, I mean, I guess I like that solution if this has to happen, but I mean, is there anything we can do to not lose packages? I mean, why did I experience this to begin with?
That's a good question. So, as I kind of alluded to before, shipping and just doing business in general is a risk, right? I mean, there's human error involved. Something could be missorted, package could be dropped, things happen. But what I'm trying to explain is that we're ultimately going to, when there are mistakes, we'll be there to help clean it up versus just declaring regular value, possibly only giving you $100 back plus the shipping costs, to where you're ultimately eating costs on the amount that you actually are supposed to be getting under retail value for your clients.
So I know that when we talked, when you first came in, I told you that I didn't have damage loss, right? I didn't, but now I do.
Sure.
So how often can I expect this to happen?
That's a good question, and that's kind of the unknown, right? So I know that you said you had minimal damages with FedEx, so you rarely have it, but it does happen. And I know that you were never offered anything in regards to actually covering anything that you had previously. So when you were with your previous carrier, you were just eating all the costs of it. It was all on your shoulders. Now I'm telling you, we're gonna have somebody there to kind of defeat the beast with you, that if there is a claim, we're gonna process it faster, we're gonna get the money back in your pocket. It's hard to really say how many times it's just gonna happen, because it's shipping. But at the end of the day, what I can tell you is when it does happen, at least you have something to fall back on, to where ultimately you're not being affected with your revenue, your bottom line still affected in a positive way, and the rapport with your client can still stay at a high level, because you can ultimately still ship out that item to them, and ultimately they would get their item at the end of the day, and get the money back in your pocket.
So I think just going back to what you said is that I have no way to predict how often this is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a way, at least that I know of, that I can predict when a package is going to go missing, when a package could have a damage. It goes through so many different areas, in different hands, things happen.
Well, does this happen a lot with your other clients?
It's kind of touch and go, to be completely honest with you. It's not any specific client has, specific damages, or these clients have another specific damage that I can say kind of ties together in a sense. But I've done the same thing for them that I've done for you, is come in and say, look, I get there's going to be mistakes made, but at least when there's a mistake made there's a way for us to kind of go back and make sure that we take care of everything for you, and ultimately not affect you in a negative way.
Well, I can tell you, if that's the best we can do, I do want to make sure my stuff's covered, so I appreciate the level of coverage. I can tell you, I am a little concerned with the reliability from you guys at this point, based on what I'm seeing, and based on the fact that you're really uncertain how often this could happen to me. So I am a little worried.
Well, let me ease your word a little bit. So in the month we've shipped, this is the first one that we ever had, right? And it happened to just be a packing issue. It happened to be the damage came ultimately, the missing package ultimately came because the packaging wasn't sealed correctly. And from what we're being told, it may have slipped out or may have fallen out, something like that. You and I went back to the shipping manager. We looked at how that was being packed, and we repacked it. And we showed him how to package where it was more sealed at the end. There's more padding on each side. So kind of trying to alleviate that possibly happening. Now, to your question, yes, I can't really answer how many times a missing package may happen. But it seems like just one time so far. At least what I want to make sure is if it does happen, that we at least have something in place that you can fall back on.
Gotcha. So you guys still had the packaging left for this one, but the product fell out.
Correct. And it was just basically the end of the package wasn't sealed correctly, and your shipping manager actually ultimately said that on that day specifically he may not have double taped it like you guys usually do, which you guys are really good at doing that. But I want to make sure that if there is an error somewhere, we're at least covering you for it, because it's gonna happen.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, is there any other questions that you have for me since you have me here right now?
Well, I guess this is a best time as any to bring it up, but I knew you knew your competitor wasn't going to go away, right?
Right.
So I do at least want to let you know that they have sent me a new offer. It is substantial. So I haven't done any calculations, but from what they're telling me, it should save me money versus the offer that you made to us a couple months ago here. Obviously, I like everything you've done, and I think things are really good between us. I'm just curious, if I get the detail for this, is that something I could send over to you? Would you guys be able to just at least take a look at it and see if you could be competitive with this offer? Because the last thing I want to do is change anything.
Sure. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not one to really get into bidding wars, but because we just brought you one over, if FedEx is doing that, no problem taking a look at that. But I have a question for you.
Yes.
Outside of the pricing, what type of value do they bring?
Well, the truth is I haven't really let them in.
Okay.
They're basically asking for a lot of the same things you did originally. They're saying, hey, we're sorry, we'd like to take a look at your business. We think we have solutions that could beat UPS's. So it sounds a lot like what you guys said at first, but obviously I know what I experienced 2 months ago. So to my point, the last thing I want to do is make any other decision, but I think at this point, if we could at least just look at this and make sure that we're just a little bit closer, I think I can just put that to bed and not even talk about it anymore.
Okay. Well, what I can guarantee you is this: I can at least look at it. We can speak about it, have a conversation, see where we need to go. But what I'd like to do is maybe even get in a little more to where we could possibly save you money operationally and not just on shipping costs. Because I found there's some clients who will step over dollars to save pennies. When I may be able to save you some big bucks on some other operational things that you have going on in the background. We just haven't gotten to that yet. I know you've been traveling a lot, which I completely understand. But once you're more back in office and we can sit down and take a look at it, I have no problem giving you a look at your pricing as long as you give me an opportunity to come in and look at some other operational things you have going on and see if I can save you money there.
That's reasonable.
Does that sound like a deal?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.